Welcome to PhotoActive, a podcast about photography and technology. I'm Kirk McElhearn.
And I'm Jeff Carlson.
So 50% of us have a new iPhone. Which 50%?
50%. That's very scientific here at the PhotoActive podcast.
Well, it is. We're precise on this podcast.
And that would be me. I got an iPhone 17 Pro in orange, of course.
I was going to say it's not just an iPhone 17 Pro. It's in one of the boldest iPhone colors in years. What was the last time they had colors like that was the iPhone XR. Remember that one? The one that looked like it was made of plastic?
I do remember that one, but I don't remember the colors.
They had a fairly bright blue, and I think they had a red, and
they had a product red. Yeah.
I think it's good that Apple has gone back to some bold colors. And I was talking to someone the other day. They have one bold color and two boring colors. One of them is light and one of them is dark. I think, silver and deep blue they're calling them, something like that. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a good thing that they have at least one bold color every year. I think that should be the norm.
Yes. And also no black or white. Like silver is kind of as close to white as you're going to get, but there's no black. This is the first Pro that's not been some shade of black.
Well, the deep blue looks pretty black if you don't pay too much attention. And if it's dark, it looks like it's black.
You know, the orange also looks like black when it's dark, when there are no lights.
Yeah. I'm just looking at some info on the iPhone XR. So this was 2018. There was red, gold, white, rose gold, black, and blue.
Yeah.
And they were – you remember when the iPod Touch had some colors? There was a red and there was a blue and yellow, I think. So yeah. I think it's good.
But that was also before Apple broke out a separate Pro line.
True.
And so it was the Pro lines that were all, well, Pros just needed to be professional looking and understated and dark gray or white.
And serious.
Very serious, yeah. Basically, finally, I think they just listened to people and people were like, look, we want bold colors. And if you want a different bold color, you get silver and you buy a case for it.
Well, that's the thing. You get any color and you buy a case for it because, First of all, most people are going to use a case. You have an option of a transparent case, which would allow your color to speak out to the world. I've seen one of the combinations that I've seen a lot on social media is a green case on the orange phone, which actually looks quite nice. I think they're opposite each other on the color wheel or something like that, and it's a nice pairing. But it seems to me that Apple created an advertisement by doing that you're with a group of people and you put your phone down on the table and they see that color that other phones don't have. Oh, is that the new iPhone? And immediately it's like those cars that people get for free because there are advertisements on them. Well, you've paid $1,200 for your phone to be a walking advertisement because of the color. And I think that's clever. That's Apple.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's clever. That's smart. Apple is very good at branding. So, yeah, absolutely.
Now, 50% of us had a hands-on the new iPhones, and it was a different 50%. I went to my nearby Apple store to pick up a new Apple Watch. For some reason, the Apple Watch that I ordered wasn't shipping for 3 weeks, and you actually have ordered one, and we'll talk about it on our next episode.
Yeah.
And I could pick it up on my Apple store, which is an hour away, which I don't like going to. But I decided I would do that because I wanted to have some hands-on time with the phones to actually see them. So I've seen all the colors and all the models, and you haven't.
No, actually, I do have. I have had hands-on time. I just have had hands-on time with one particular orange model that was delivered to me. So I haven't gone to a store yet.
Right. You haven't been able to compare all three. Yeah.
I haven't been able to compare. And honestly, I'm very curious to do so. The Apple stores that are around here, you say that yours is an hour away and it's kind of annoying. To get to the ones near here take at least 30 to 45 minutes, but that's just because of Seattle city traffic. So that's also not super easy to get to, but I am very, very curious to check out the Air and how the Air feels.
So I checked out the Air. First of all, the Apple store that I go to is in a suburb of Birmingham called Solihull, where they have a relatively large shopping mall. And It might have been one of the first Apple stores in the U.S. It was the smallest Apple store, I think, in the world.
In the U.K.?
One of these really early models with just 2 lines of tables. You walk in and they're straight parallel to you when you walk in. And they moved to the unit across from them, which is twice as big. And it was a pleasure to finally have some room to walk around, because previously when I'd been there, when it was an iPhone launch day or something, it was horrid. It was a lot of people. Because it was bigger, I can't judge how crowded it was. It wasn't crowded, but there were more tables. But there weren't too many people on the iPhone table. There were people on all the tables. So it didn't seem like there was a real rush to go after the iPhones. It didn't. And I was there at noon on Friday. So this is lunchtime on the day it launched. And I would have expected a lot more. I think the last time I went there, after COVID, you make an appointment, they give you a 15-minute slot, and you show up. And the last time I went there, I don't remember if it was for an iPhone or a watch, but I had to wait online to get in. It was so crowded. So there doesn't seem to be an overwhelming response to these new iPhones. It's the first thing. Second, the iPhone Air, I'm kind of underwhelmed. I think the iPhone Air is 12 grams lighter than the base iPhone 17. It's a little bit bigger. What is it, 6.3 compared to 6.1? So the display is not that much bigger.
Something like that, yeah.
It's a little bit thinner, but I just don't see that the thinness makes that much of a difference. There are so many drawbacks. Like I would never buy the iPhone Air because of the single camera. And we're going to talk about cameras here on the iPhones. And this is the main reason we talk about iPhones, right?
Yeah.
The single camera seems too limiting. I was taking some pictures the other day with my iPhone, and I was thinking, I've got how many? I've got 3 cameras on my iPhone 16 Pro Max, and I have all these options, and you don't get that with the iPhone Air. You're paying $200 or 200 pounds more than the base iPhone 17, which feels comfortable in my hand. Now, the one thing I would have to think twice about is there's no plus size. And I've had plus sizes for years now for my iPhones. And would I be able to go down to a smaller display? The iPhone Air to me just seems to be a poor compromise. There's only one speaker, and it's up on the top, and it's a tiny ear speaker, so you can't really watch anything. Of course, Apple assumes you have AirPods to be able to listen to stuff on it. I think the trade-off with the battery life, where if you do need all-day battery life, which I don't because I work from home, you have to spend another $99 for a battery pack. It just doesn't seem to me like the best way to have an iPhone, and it's eSIM only. So if you do need to change SIM cards for whatever reason, and there are people who do that, that's a problem. I was watching Marcus Brownlee's review of it, and he was saying that, as a reviewer, he's changing SIM cards all the time. But most people, they'll change once when they get this phone and once when they go to the next phone. So it might not be a problem.
Yeah.
I just don't see it as a value proposition to spend $200 more than the better quality base phone, or what is it, $100 less than the iPhone Pro.
I think that, so anecdotally, what I've been seeing online is several people who have gone to the store to see them in person. Like they didn't pre-order, they just went to go buy a phone on the first day. And I saw quite a few people who said, I was all ready to walk out with a Pro, and I held the Air and fell in love with it, and that's what I walked out with.
Really?
So, I mean, this is also very much like, dealing with cameras. Like you hold it and it either speaks to you, it's comfortable to you, and you're willing to accept all those limitations. And honestly, like I'm glad that they're being upfront and that people are calling the camera quality and the battery life and all of that. So hopefully nobody's going to get an Air and go home and be like, wait, this camera is not as good. Never mind. We're talking about people. There will be people who do that, but
there will be people, if they go to the Apple store, they might not think about it until they get home and want to take some pictures. And I don't know. I mean, there's limitations in the fact that it's a single camera. I don't know what the low light quality is of photos with the iPhone Air. I don't know if the camera is good enough for that. I think I think people like it initially because it's different. And I think that's what Apple's selling. Different than these phones we've had for years. And we saw this from the shift from the early phones to, what was it, the iPhone 4 or 4S that had the straight sides. Mm-hmm. And then when we got the Pro phones and that started changing. And I think it's the difference that's going to make it sell. But the interesting thing is that the name is iPhone Air, not iPhone Air 17 or iPhone Air 1, which suggests there might not be another one in the future, or it might not be updated every year, which at the extra price doesn't seem to make sense.
So I want to touch on two things there. One, I think that you're right. Calling it the iPhone Air means that, sort of like with the iPhone SE, like they can wait a couple of years and then the iPhone Air 2 comes out, or the iPhone Air foldable, which is a possibility in the next few years. But also, I think that also goes back to what you were saying about you're with a group of people and you put your phone on the table and it's an Air. And like that right there is also advertising for the company, and like you're making a statement like, ooh, I got the Air. Now, half the people at the table will think, well, that's super cool, and I know you paid a little bit more money for it, and it's thin and it's thinner than my phone, and that looks really great. And the other half of the people will say, yeah, but you're giving up all these different aspects of it, the camera and the battery life and all of that. So I don't know. I'm glad it exists. I don't have any reason for it, but for somebody who really wants the little bit larger screen and they don't really need more camera than what it offers.
That's the thing. It's the phone for people who don't want a camera or who don't care about the camera.
Yeah. And I mean, from what I can tell, the camera is still perfectly good. It's the same main camera that's on the Pro and that's on the on the regular iPhone 17. So it's 48 megapixel. So I imagine probably the low light quality is probably good. What you're giving up is an actual telephoto. It'll crop in at 2x zoom, but that's not quite the same. And you're giving up macro. But I think the regular iPhone 17, even though it has a wide camera, may still lack that macro feature because that's always been a Pro feature.
No, it hasn't. I'm just looking on the Compare iPhone page and the base 17. So that's the thing. All the reviewers are saying the base iPhone 17 is the best deal this year because it's, $300 cheaper than the base 17 Pro. The cameras are almost as good. I think there are some advantages to the Pro camera, but not a lot. The big difference is that it only comes in the one size. And if you're used to a larger phone, then it's a problem. And just to correct what I said before, it's 6.3 inches and the Air is 6.5. I mean, 6.3 is still fairly large. It's not that small. Yeah. But if you're used to a larger display, I think my 16 Pro Max is 6.7. So that is, it's not as big as a difference as it really seems.
Yeah.
I'm going to lean over here and pick up my Android phone, which is a Pixel 8a. And if I hold the Android phone on top of my 16 Pro Max, it's about a half an inch shorter in height and less than a quarter of an inch in width. So I could get by, I think, with an iPhone 17. The thing is, I've been talking to a number of people and I've been seeing on social media, a number of people are saying that they just don't care about this stuff anymore. We've been, 2007, we're 18 years into the iPhone. And yes, most people didn't really pick up on the iPhone until, I want to say 2012-ish with the iPhone 4. When it started being sold around the world, when Siri came out, the 4S, more and more people are talking about how there's no need to upgrade. It's the same old stuff. And I'm saying this about the Apple Watch 2 online. People talking about the difference between the Apple Watch Ultra 1 and 2 was just the color. And the Apple Watch Ultra 3, there's a minor difference. And the 11 compared to the 10 is a minor difference. And I think we've reached the top of the curve of phone interest where most people don't care that much. And in the early days of the iPhone, there weren't that many competitors. There was, a few Android phones. There was Windows phones. And now there's so many phones that people are seeing at so many different prices. So I think we're just not seeing the same enthusiasm for these boring slabs of computing that go in our pockets.
Yeah, well, and also I think there's an argument to be made that these boring slabs of computing, they're pretty good. So there really isn't that drive to upgrade every year or every other year, because your phone, like if you have like my wife, for example, she has an iPhone 13 Pro. So this is now almost 5 years old. It works fine. It's perfectly fine. Like she has not, I think I mentioned this in the last episode, she's not really, like burning to get a brand new iPhone.
She's not inheriting your 16 Pro?
No, because I'm on the Apple upgrade program. My 16 Pro has to go back to Apple because I swap it by. And so, most people, the phone that they have works perfectly fine.
Yep.
And then there are people like us who are thinking like, oh, well, maybe I do want a camera upgrade. And in that case, like going from the 13 to the 17 Pro, that's a great upgrade.
Sure. If you're going 3 or 4 years, it's a huge upgrade. But let me ask you something seriously. If you weren't on the iPhone upgrade program, would you have bought your orange phone?
That is a very...
Let's say you could trade in your 16 Pro Max or whatever you have. Would you have bought the orange phone?
Probably not if I wasn't on the upgrade plan. Well, okay, wait. Caveat. Because I'm updating my take control of iPhone photography, then it becomes a business expense, and like that book gives me a reason to make sure that I am covering all the new stuff. But I don't think that I would, if I didn't have that and I wasn't on the iPhone upgrade plan, then no, probably not. I'd probably go 2 or 3 years between.
So most of our listeners aren't writing books about iPhone photography.
Well, that's good.
Don't need, no competitors for you. Don't need the latest phone. But again, if you are 3 or 4 years out and you care about the camera, it does make a difference. Now, I think the new selfie camera is very cool, and this is on all 3 models. I have never knowingly taken a selfie in my life, but I tried it out just to see switching, holding it and switching it around, and I think it's quite clever. That's going to be, I don't think that's going to sell a lot of iPhones, but that's the kind of thing in the future that will set people apart. Well, I've got an iPhone with the better selfie camera, because it's not just the way you get 4 different crops. So it's like 2 vertical and 2 horizontal, but the quality of the photos, the megapixels of the camera itself is so much better.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, so I've taken a total of, I think, 3 selfie pictures so far, just to see how it works. Also, I was at some friends had an anniversary party, and so I took some pictures of some people that I hadn't seen for a while. And from what I can tell, like the quality is very good. I was afraid that because it's an 18 megapixel sensor and it's square, and so I didn't know if when it went into its horizontal aspect ratio, like would that be just cropping off a whole lot of data? And from what I can tell, it looks perfectly fine. It's not like there's nothing about it that says, oh, this is a compromised image. And so that makes me very happy.
Okay, why don't we talk about your camera experience? You were telling me before we started recording that you didn't have time to take many photos, so you ran out this morning. And this morning for you is like a half hour ago. It's 9 in the morning for you right now. And you took a bunch of photos. And yes, you took some of people. The photos of people there, that wasn't this morning, was it?
No, that was on Sunday night.
Okay, so you did take some photos.
I did take some photos. I mean, I had, great ideas that I would go and spend the day taking pictures out and about over the weekend, and because of work and family stuff, it just didn't have that option. And so I was on a walk. The light was nice, and so the pictures that I have, and we'll share some of these in the show notes, just gave me a chance to take some pictures and just see some of the specific features of this camera.
Does it feel different to you than previous iPhone cameras?
It doesn't feel different.
Well, let's point out that iOS 26 has changed the interface of the camera app. So that is a big change. It's a lot simpler, although it's harder to find the more advanced features if you want to use them.
It is, yeah. Although one thing I noticed, and I don't remember this being in the beta, when you want to get to the advanced features, like you want to set a timer or change the aspect ratio, you would swipe up from the bottom to basically bring up a little glassy panel that had those options, and that would just be covering up like the last quarter of the screen. And I was worried that might be an issue because you're also swiping from the bottom, which can take you back to the home screen. And I noticed that if you just tap on the photo button, so you have photo and video at the bottom, and you can scroll those to get to the different modes like portrait mode. But if you just tap once on the photo button, it brings up those options.
And those options are large buttons instead of the way they were before, the little tiny buttons.
Yeah. So actually, I mean, that is a really big improvement to me. And then there's also a button in the top right that will also bring that up.
And if you're in video mode and you tap on the video button, you get the same things. You get flash, exposure, and action.
Yeah. And dual capture on mine, which I haven't tried yet. But
well, I don't have that because I've only got a 16 Pro. What is dual capture video?
It's kind of neat. So dual capture video it's recording from the rear camera and the front camera at the same time.
Oh, I remember that. Yes, the woman in the presentation was filming something on TV while she's filming herself reacting to it, and this is the generation of exhibitionists that need to be in everything.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Just like us.
I'll avoid that.
Yeah. I can't see myself using that very much, but
I can't see most people even knowing that exists, to be fair.
Nope.
But as all these features, Apple rolls them out to have a whole bunch of features and then they never talk about them again, and most people never discover them. So comments on some of the photos. One thing I noticed is that you've done a number of photos at different zooms to see how they look. Mm-hmm. And notwithstanding the fact that these are not the most extraordinarily composed photos, that these were really just tests.
Hey, no, that's okay.
I guess it shows that there is a certain, I'm looking at the one of the red maple tree zoomed in, and it's quite sharp and detailed. If I zoom in a lot, I can see the sort of sharpness artifacts, but it's not that bad. And because we'll put this one in the show notes because this is a red maple tree with sunlight going on the leaves. And that's a kind of a hard thing for a camera to handle, isn't it, with all that extra bright light?
It is, yeah. So actually, which one are you looking at? Is it the vertical one or the horizontal one that have the different
The horizontal, the three horizontal ones where you've got the three different zooms.
Yeah, and so the one that's zoomed in the most, that's the 8x zoom. So that is a 12 megapixel crop of the sensor.
Another thing I noticed is that you've got a series of 5 photos, and the first one you're zooming in on a boat. And if I look at the info in the Photos app, it says that it's 200 millimeters. We're going to talk about this in a second. The next one is 100, then 48, then 24, then 14. And I thought you only had 3 lenses on your camera, or 3 cameras on your phone, as they say.
Yes. Well, Apple says you actually have 8 cameras on your phone.
Exactly.
They
say you have 8 lenses. They don't say 8 cameras.
8 lenses, yes. Yeah, no, that's a very good point. And that is what you're looking at is the 8x zoom, the 4x zoom, the 2x zoom, and the 2x is the crop of the 48 megapixel sensor. And then the 1x zoom, which is main camera just by itself, and then the ultra wide 0.5x zoom.
So there are 3 shots that are taken with 3 cameras and 2 that are cropped or interpolated.
Yes.
So the 3rd and the 5th ones are crops or interpolations.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. That's really confusing. But I would say the 200 millimeter is not that bad. I mean, the boat is out of focus because it's blurry and it's in a distance, and I don't expect it to be any better. Yeah. But if I look at the trees, we can put, I don't know if you want to put all these into the show notes, but the trees are plenty sharp. What's in the distance, it's more that it's hazy, so you can't really judge the quality of the zoom because of that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think people want options. I'm thinking of people on vacation. I'm not thinking of people at home at a party doing selfies, whatever. On vacation, they want options. They want to be able to get some zooms, some wide angle if they're close to something, etc. And this is going to cover what most people want, and it's not the same as a real camera, and that's just the way it is.
To add to the confusion...
Oh, no. There's more confusion.
There's more confusion. You know what? I think Apple must be downsizing images for the shared library that we have. Because,
I think so, yeah.
But even on my side, because I'm looking at the same – so there's a zoomed-in picture at 8x with like a little metal goat. And
I've got the goat.
For people listening to this, they're like, there's a what? A little metal goat? And that shows up as 12 megapixels on my phone, and that's 4032 by 3024 resolution. And on my Mac, where I'm looking at this, that's
half of that.
2049 by 1537. So everything that we've just said about resolution is off because we are using an iPhoto shared library, a Photos shared library. And Apple, why? I know why. It's because this is going to take up space on your device, and if
on everyone's device.
And if I was pushing 48 megapixel images to you, then your device would get filled up. And Apple, why do you make this confusing?
What's your overall opinion of this?
My overall opinion,
it's not a bad camera.
It's not a bad camera at all. And in fact, the 8x zoom. I was expecting it to look worse, and I think it looks fairly good. The colors seem to be really good. If you look at some of the recent reviews online by like The Verge and CNET, they have shown some examples and compared from like the 16 Pro, and Apple's doing some better sharpening on some of those zoomed in images. So I think overall it's safe to say, even though not a lot of hardware has changed, the telephoto camera is different. That's a 48 megapixel. So that's improved from before. But the main camera, the wide camera, I think the hardware itself is exactly the same as last year's. But they're doing better processing on them. And actually, one of the things that I wanted to check, there are some macro photos in this set too, because Apple says that you can do 48 megapixel macro photos. And it's actually the same situation as we had last year, which is if you have the macro mode, so when you have that little icon that shows up, it's going to give you a 12 megapixel image no matter what. So you can turn that off, switch to the ultra wide camera and take the same shot, and that's how you get a 48 megapixel macro photo. But from at least these examples here, they seem to be better than what the 16 Pro is getting. So I think they've done a better job of correcting for distortion and the blurriness of it, because when you're doing the macro, it's cropping in, it's doing some extra stuff. And if you're shooting just wide, super close, it seems to be compensating for that in a better way.
Okay, I still think the iPhone 17 is a better deal because it's, and I'm looking at the prices here in the UK, the UK price in pounds is the equivalent of the dollar price because there's VAT included. So it's $7.99 for the iPhone 17 and $10.99 for the Pro. If you haven't upgraded in like 4 years or something, then maybe you might want to go for the Pro if you really need the extra camera stuff. But I mean, the iPhone 17 has 5 colors. They have lavender, sage, mist blue, white, and black if you need a black.
Okay, well.
But of course, the Pro has orange, and that's a badass orange. So. I don't like
it's
that.
True.
I want to mention that when we first chatted about this after I came back from the store, I noticed that the back of the iPhone Pro camera looked really weird. It's got this ceramic inset, and depending on how the light is on it, it looks like plastic. And you were looking at it just before we started at different angles, and it's kind of strange because on Apple's photos online, when they're looking straight to the back, it's the same color as the camera plateau thing. But once you start tilting it, it's really, it must be diffracting the light or something.
Yeah, I think it's probably absorbing the light in a different way. Yeah, sometimes it can look a lot lighter than the metal. Sometimes it blends right in. It's not a huge deal, but we're talking about aesthetics, and we're talking about the look of it. So maybe for some people that would just be something that they would not want. But you can put a case on it.
You say that with a frown on your face because you never use a case. I switched some time ago, and I don't use a case anymore at home.
Oh.
I have this thingy on the back now. It's this Belkin thing that was originally made to put the camera on top of a laptop to use the iPhone as a camera. You have the same one in black. I have one in white. And this is a great thing for holding the phone because you stick your finger through it. And I only put a case on now when I go out, or when I'm sitting on my patio, which is made of hard stone, and I've dropped the phone several times, so I put my case on when I go out there. But I'm caseless now indoors.
I will mention, speaking of case, the edges on this are just a little bit more rounded than the 16 Pro, and so it feels a little bit more slippery than the 16 Pro.
It's not just that. It feels like an anodized metal, whereas the 16 Pro is, what is it, stainless steel? Or no, it's titanium. It's polished.
That's titanium, and this is aluminum, yeah.
Right, okay. And it's polished. And if your fingers aren't completely dry, they do stick a little bit to a polished surface. So this is grippier. I did notice that when I picked it up. And I noticed that also with the base 17, that it felt the same, unlike the 17 Air, which is polished titanium, but it's so thin, I can see people dropping that easily. This is so complicated. Why do we have to just make good, cheap phones? Give us a $500 phone that has all these cameras and the same fast chip and the wonderful display and everything, and we'll be happy.
Just give us everything we want and
charge us less for it.
Charge a lot for it, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, next time we're going to do a 90-minute special episode on the Apple Watch Ultra 3 because we both will have Apple Watch Ultra 3s. Only 50% of us have it today, which is me, and yours is coming in 2 weeks. Or you might not even have it by the next episode. Oh, my.
Oh, my.
There is an interesting new camera feature, and I'm going to mention it now in iOS 26, that when you open the camera on your phone, a few 5 or 10 seconds afterwards, your watch has a little camera button that displays near the bottom of the screen. So you can set your phone up. I'm thinking of these people who do selfies by sticking their phone on something and standing in front of it. And you can, instead of opening the camera remote app on the watch, you can just tap on the screen on the little camera app.
Well, and what that does is that's a little hint, and that hint then opens the camera remote app. So it's not a direct button to actually hit it.
Oh, right.
But I
guess it makes sense that it's not, because you wouldn't want to accidentally trigger the shutter.
Yeah, it's a neat thing. Also, one thing that I haven't tested because I haven't looked to see how to set it up yet. If you have AirPods Pro, or maybe even regular AirPods, there's a way that you can trigger the camera shutter by pressing your AirPods. So when your phone is in the camera mode, you can use that to start a timer or something. Obviously, I don't think you'd want to get a picture of yourself with your hands, poking your AirPods. But that's like another nice little thing so that you're not dashing back and forth. You have a little camera remote that's not a watch because not everybody owns the watch. But if you have a set of AirPods and you don't mind taking a picture of yourself with AirPods in your head, you can trigger it that way.
No, you're taking a picture of someone else. It's not to take a selfie.
But you can do both.
No, it's if you've set your camera up someplace. Oh, I guess if you've set your camera up and you're pointing it at yourself, then you press that's weird. Okay.
Yeah.
In the AirPods Pro settings, it says capture a photo, start or stop recording, and more using either press once or press and hold. So this is the camera control settings to turn it on or off.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'll just ignore this. I have enough trouble with my AirPods Pro remembering what to do to pause or to change tracks or to change the volume. It's way too complicated. Enjoy your new orange phone. It's a wonderful color.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all I'm going to do is just look at my orange phone and take selfies with it.
All right. Take care. Till next time.
Till next time.
Thanks for listening to PhotoActive. You can find show notes, including any photos we discuss in this episode, at photoactive.co. That's photoactive.co. We couldn't afford the M. You can join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/PhotoActiveCast. That's PhotoActiveCast in one word. You can subscribe to PhotoActive in your favorite podcast app or on Apple Podcasts. See the links on our website. And think about leaving us a rating or review in iTunes or in your podcast.